welcome to part 2 of my occasional series, Small Budget Big Results, which is very apt for the budget that I have. I've noticed with the Midget that as time's gone on in driving it, it's getting a little bit rattly and loose in the front end. Nothing major, just wear and tear. When I was having a look around underneath, I noticed that the anti-roll bar drop links were virtually worn out and just rattly and horrible. So we've ordered a couple of new drop links, some new mounting bushes, going to pull out the anti-roll bar, give it a good sand wire brush, clean, paint it, make it look like new, and hopefully that will improve things a little bit. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing we did, of course, was get the jack kit out, and definitely not use the jack. Used a decent jack, but did use the hammer and spanner, of course, to get the wheels undone. The jack is the original jack, and it's pretty worn out, so I don't think I'd trust it. Once it was up, we got it on the wheel stands, just as also as a safety precaution. Put some car ramps underneath with some blocks of wood, so if it did fall, it was definitely not going to fall on me. So here's the anti-sway bar, rusty, greasy, dirty, chipped paint, and the first thing we had to do was undo the old mounts, of course, a little bit of CRC type stuff on the bolts, and there's the drop links, the dreaded drop links. They were a little bit of a pain to get off. Needed to, again, use some fluid on the threads to loosen it up, and then finally get to undo. The bottom was pretty easy, but those top ones you could only get about a quarter of a turn at a time on the spanner, and yeah, it was painful. That's how much room you had between the coil spring and that bolt to get it undone, so not a lot of room, and you couldn't get a socket onto it. You'll need an 11/16 ring spanner. There's one that I was using right there. We got the anti-sway bar off by undoing the centre mounts first, then taking off the drop links, and got it out on the ground. Had a look, it wasn't bent, it wasn't corroded too badly, but we got the wire brush on the drill onto it and cleaned it up. And then after we'd done that, of course, we got some Ritter Rust type stuff and put on it, left it for a couple of hours, gave it a wipe over with a damp cloth, and then proceeded to use some etch primer. And that took around about an hour to get tacky, a couple of coats of that, and then into the epoxy enamel. Now, with the epoxy enamel on this, what I did do was light up the old oven barbecue, put it on about 50 degrees, and just to bake harden it, and it did a great job. And there's the finished product. So here's the reason why we're replacing this. As you can see, this is the nice new one, and you can see there's no movement there. And this is the old one. So if you're wondering where there's a bit of clunking going on in your front end, maybe this might be it. So for the sake of around about, I think about $100 for the left and the right combined, including postage, it's definitely a worthwhile job. And there's the new drop links going on, and just tighten them up 3/4, do the centre blocks, and then once everything's lined up, tighten it all up, and you are absolutely good to go. And did it make a difference? Well, let's find out. Well, that was a really enjoyable job. Around about 2 hours worth of work to pull the anti-sway bar off and put in the new drop links, the new mounting rubbers. Of course, the reality is it did take a little bit longer than that, because while it was off, we wanted to paint it, which meant wire brushing, Ritter rusting, undercoating, and then stove enameling the anti-sway bar. Small budget, big results? Yeah, absolutely. Look, for around about $110 worth of parts, it really has tightened up the front end. It doesn't rattle around as much, and you know, it really makes it corner a little bit flatter, and it's just nice knowing that everything is working as it should. You might notice that the front bumper bar is still off the car. While we were doing the job, I decided to straighten out a couple of the tow hooks, which were a little bit bent. And then, as like all jobs that progress further, I noticed there was a small amount of rust getting started underneath. So I've decided to pull the bumper bar off and drive it bumperless for a couple of months. And then over winter, we're going to pull the front wings off, pull the front end out, and just nail down any little trouble spots that may be developing, and put it all back together for next summer. But the drop links have been done, and these can now get consigned to that wonderful bin that all of us home garage people have. That's the bin where you put stuff that you're just not quite ready to throw out because it might come in handy one day. Cheerio, we'll see you next time. Bye.